This is the bonus 2 minutes. If you're here for the bonus 2 minutes, well, good on you. Just let everything catch up. There we go. I think we're on the right. Yes, that's about right, isn't it? So, here we go then, guys. Good evening. Welcome to Pirate Rich Paints. Tonight, we're going to do another one from our 4-point box set. And there's the guy himself. So they've named him as a captain on the front. I've been calling him a warlord all week. Evening, Goobler. So I thought I'm going to paint very much the same as on the box there. Which, this one I was thinking, oh, he's got a circite on, but he's not. He's all in mail. So we're going to paint him like that. So it might not take as long as you thought. Unless the dog decides to wait until we start to play with his noisiest toy. Okay, we'll see how that works out. He's been quiet for the last sort of 20 minutes. I thought, oh, he's calmed down. Of course, I start talking. Boom. Okay, so we've done our usual Xenophil undercoat of Vallejo black, Vallejo grey over the top. And we've done our pomace. I didn't paint it today because I thought I'd paint that on camera. I thought it's nice and warm. It'll dry by the time we need to paint anything else. So this is a mixture of kind of oak browns and a load of my medium. And just nice and thin. So it just shows evening rich. As you can hear, the dog was quiet until about 3 minutes ago when he dug his noisiest toy out. Hey ho. I'd just like to assure everyone that it's not a small animal, it's actually a ball. No animals were harmed in the making of this video. There we go. So I thought I'd just show the what I did basically. The reason I have it that watery is obviously as it dries, that white pomace will start showing through. Now what I do, see, I've got a big old bottle of brown. And save any wastage, I then just keep it back out the palette, put it back in the pot. I thought I'd show you these bits and pieces while we've got plenty of time. And then at the end of a painting session, before I shut the wet palette down, I tend to scoop all the browns off the palette. Oh, cheers. Yeah, the good thing about it is the paint, when it dries off, it just pops out of them. So I've got a wet palette there as well. So obviously I've put metallics and my medium and that sort of stuff in there. yeah. So that's the base brown. So it's now trying to eat the noisy ball. So I'm just going to use deep grey and water that down with my medium so it's nice and thin. Then I'm going to overpaint these little bits of slate I put on. That paint I'm using is very thin, that I've watered it right out on the palette. I just want it to be like almost like a glaze over, because we've Zenithal highlighted the rocks, undercoated the rocks as well, so I don't really need it to change the grey, I just need it to, as you can see, just need it to put a bit of shadow in and highlight, free highlights. That's the good thing about Zenithal undercoat. It's like appreciate. That was a weird sounding seagull outside. There we go. So I want all these little puddles forming on there, just to give it a little bit of So I usually that bit off camera after we finish. I thought I'd do the opposite way around tonight. And if you want it to be a bit mossy, while it's still wet, you can put the moss effect on it there. But I'm not too worried about that. So first of all, we're going to, as I said, we're doing Age of Chivalry. We're doing the captain or warlord or whatever you want to call him. I'm gonna do it as is on the box. When I set the video up earlier, I thought he was wearing a surcoat, as I said to Kubler, because he was here nice and early. But no. So next we're going to grab gunmetal, and I'll put that into this palette, because I don't want metallics. I almost said metallica then. I don't want metallica on my dry wet palette. So how's everyone been this week? Been doing any hobbying? Have we just been trying to stay cool if you're in the UK? It's okay. On this metallic, I dip on my, let's dip into there. Dip into there, so it's just watered down a little bit. It's more just to get some moisture in the brush, really. That's just a bit medium I'm using there. As you know, I've done the videos on Pirate Ridge Plays for so after last week's we were talking about the John Blanche sets and were they worth it, weren't they worth it, and I thought, well, there's only one way to find out, so I thought I'd take one for the team and purchase it and do a couple of videos. I've done two videos, one's on unboxing and one's me actually painting some Dark Age plastic Welsh, not Welsh, Irish, sorry. And yeah, I wouldn't say what I said on the end of the video. You'll have to watch it to find out. That's on Pirate Ridge Plays. But it's positive, I think. Anyway, after another week or so, I've kept them separate from the racks at the moment, just so I can I want to do another video of comparing them to their closest colours in the range. Do you see what I mean? So we're not fooled to thinking, oh, I need this colour, and it's actually the same one or very close. So I plan on doing another quick video on Pirate Rich Plays, of just grabbing some plastic or something like that and just compare them to the range that's already there. See if you do actual fact going to be much use to you. I know they're going to be useful for me. I've also I think what you have to bear in mind is as well, I'm painting a different style to John Blanche. This is by no means Blanchistu, or whatever they call it. So I get where he's coming from with the colour choices he's made. So that's all right. So you see that that's just very slightly thin from the medium. It's more, there was enough medium to keep the brush damp more than anything else. So yeah. For what we do where there's, it's quite a simple paint job. We're going to make some, try and complicate these bits, some bits up, if you know what I mean. So for that thinned out gunmetal, you can see it does go on real nice. I think the old metallics used to go all loopy, didn't they? Okay. There's our base layer on. I used a crappy brush. Always use a crappy brush when you're doing metallics, unless you have to, you know, use a tight one for any edging or anything like that. Always try and use your brush that's on the last leg, because metallic paint will kill your brush. Okay, so next we're going to go Moonstone Skin. That's going to go on the wet palette. And we're going to chip some medium in there. This heat, the wet palette needs all the help it can get, so I don't want to thin the paint too much. I'm going to change brush in a minute, I think. I did change this one earlier, but I've done a lot of painting today, so it's or I've been using these cheapy ones. They're alright, but they don't last very long. Good evening, Ben. What goes it, shit, mate? So I'm just thinning that flesh out. You could make a very quick job of this, but we're gonna fiddle around with him. Uh-oh. Blue debonder on standby. Let's grab another brush. See these cheap ones I buy? They come in these little packets. They're so cool. So cool. There until you get one like this. It's got a crappy leading hair and you've got to trim them. I don't mind that one. Let's grab another one. I say for like cheap brushes. Ah, that's a good one. Some need a little bit of work. So that's why I kind of like the army paint ones, because you get that sort of middle of the road standard kind of. He's alright. He's alright. Okay, so we're going to start with some basilisk red. It's 2 weeks' time, isn't it, Partisan? So I've got Legionary first, which apparently has got the best place to have breakfast, apparently. So I've heard. Oh, please, no. Nobody cut the grass out the front. I don't want to shut the window. I'll leave it for now, guys. If it gets too bad, just let me know and I'll shut the window. It's not the dog, it's the neighbours. Well, that sounds like the slowest ever lawnmower as well, isn't it? Evening, Artemis. Just go over at this because obviously there's people been joining us. Oh no. It sneaks up on you, doesn't it? As well, because it's like I use is it Tammy or whatever it is. Yeah, this one. And yeah, I was gluing loads of people's miniatures together, and you slowly, all of a sudden, realise there's an elephant sat out the room watching you, or there's some dragons flying by, or so I'm just adding some medium. Yeah. So hopefully our neighbour won't take too long. That's the quietest lawnmower I think I've ever heard. Just laying this down. That's a bit of medium again in there, keeping the palette nice and moist. Be like that word. It's the word that splits opinions, that one, isn't it? Just drop a bit down there for the grip. There we go. Just because I can. Yeah. Okay, so now I've got the base coat of that on. I'm going to grab black wash. I thought we'd finished then. I'm not so lucky. Again, using a crappy old brush. Because washes tend to wreck your brush too. I'm just going to run. This is, if you've not heard before, it's not a Citadel wash, even though it's in a Citadel bottle. It's more a mixture of the Army Painted Black, which is dark tone. There's some Vallejo ink in there. There's some matte. Crap, he's put me off. There's some matte medium. Been quite heavy, so we can work into the armour in a bit. If you're using the pure Army Painter black wash or whatever, dark wash, make sure you water it down a little bit with a bit of medium, because it will turn this to like a pot black, you know what I mean? You see how dark this one is, and yeah, this has been kind of watered down. So we want it to do that for this, so that's cool. Oops, sorry, I drifted off camera then. This is where as well, if you're not quite happy with those, if you're going to cut your lawn, fucking, oh, beg your pardon, flipping cut it. Don't keep half cutting it. It's a good job I put on the videos these aren't made for kids. That's exactly the reason why. So at some point I would swear, and then somebody would complain and what have you. It's a bit like when your neighbour's doing some DIY, isn't it? One of my neighbours is a tapper, so he'll put a nail into the wall and it'll be tap 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 tap. No, hit it. If you're gonna hit it, hit it. Oh, we have fun. Welcome to Pirate Island. We all float down here. This is before the rums come out as well. Right. So where that black's drying, we shall let's use the warms instead of our usual speed paint 2. We're going to use a warm skin shade from the John Blanche set, because this is close to the old skin shade. You want, I'll show you. Look at that. I've loaded that in there, see? Wash my brush out. I'm just going to take some back out. There we go. Well, it was bound to happen, Ben. But it doesn't surprise any of us, in fairness. Right, I'm going to start with a regal blue. Ben, we believe you. You should start a YouTube channel called Gluing Things to Things. Actually name it like that. Tonight I'll be gluing stuff to stuff. On tonight's programme, I shall be gluing stuff to stuff. Yeah, we'd all subscribe. You could try a or you could actually see how long you could go on the video before you glued something to yourself. That sounds like it turned into a bit of a drinking game channel. Oh, he's glued something to his finger. Take a shot. Oh, I think this lawnmower is broken. Can't say I'm upset. Do you remember the old oh, what was the wallpaper glue in the 70s, 80s? Solvite, wasn't it? And they used to wallpaper a guy, stick him to a board with the wallpaper paste, didn't they? And then pick him up on a helicopter and fly him about on the board. Was it So yeah, I think so. Okay. Oh. And this gold is a little bit darker than the greedy gold. Yeah, there was two very similar. There was that one, and then there was the what do you call it? The Everest. Fit the best Everest. Well, they used to bounce the board off the window. Those are the two that's same era, isn't it? Fit the best Everest. It was a bit Barry Scott before Barry Scott, wasn't it? The wallpaper paste one. I remember there's lots of shouting on it. So this is the Emperor Gold from the John Blanche set, which is a bit brassier. Right. Bit. Just thought I'd give it a little bit of a change where we're stepping up a little bit. Oh no. Oh. He's obviously trying to fix it. Oh. I'm gonna have to shut the window for me. Is that racket? It's gonna get warm in here then. So just laying on this Emperor's Gold. Starting to pick out some little detail. Yeah, fingers crossed for you, Ben. Leave that like that for now. We'll be coming back in with some gold later for some more bits. Oh, that's good. Right, so let's start with the red. So it's Wyvern Fury next. Just build in some highlights. So what we want to be doing is just leave the very darkest recesses. So it's going to be the back edge of this scabbard. And go across the top edge of the belt and down and leave the bottom edge the first colour. building up that colour. Just literally so we can build a richer looking red when we get to it. Oh, he's got to be nearly finished now, surely. Let's check. Sorry about that. So next we will go up to the next layer of blue, which is crystal blue. Yeah, if the mountain of shame gets a bit low, mate, just let us know and we'll send more. I'm sure doing this we could help out. So again, with this blue, we're going to aim for the areas that are in the light, leaving that bottom edge dark, top edge light. I'm going to leave a little gap. There we go. Have to wait too long. It's nice and warm tonight, so straight onto the dragon red. I'll keep going for a bit, Ben. So this dragon red, we're going to go hit along the top edge, working it down. So rather than trying to paint a complete line, I'm using the rivets to paint in between at the top, aiming down. So I want to leave that purpley look at the bottom of the belt. There we go. More medium. And a stronger red on the edge of this, not right up underneath the edge, because we want a bit of a shadow there. Not right against his leg, because we want a shadow there. So we don't start right up against where the ledge is. We come down a bit. Paint down the centre. There we go. See, it's starting to turn red now. You've got to start listing the I've got a Middle Earth mithril miniatures horde that I've got to start listing on the website. So it's going to have its own. So if you know any mithril collectors, point my way. So I found a load of D&D books to go up on there as well. That's on the Pirate Rich Square site. Okay. I'm just going to go back round this red now and strengthen a couple of bits up. Just by putting little dots. So I'm kind of going in the areas I've already painted. I'm just going to dot in there with some nice colour. We wouldn't usually go this town belt, but seeing as A, it's the warlord, and B, there's not a lot else to paint on him, I figured it was time to go crazy. I'm just going to edge highlight the back of it, make it look a bit sharper. And that's a bit of nonsense because it'll only catch light from one side, but hey. So we're going to go to our highest blue, which is going to be Arctic Gem. Yeah, it's true. I've got like a whole box load of them, so they're all blistered up. So I did have some of them at the show last time, but they're all blistered up and priced to go. There's some here next to me. Let's see, just to wet your whistle. Who's this? Look, Treebeard and the Hobbits. See, priced up at £10. It's got to be cheap for that. Look at this, a Prince August one from Salute 08 2008. I think that's called Chieftain on Enormous Wolf. £5. Yeah, I won't go through all because there's a little stack of them here ready to go onto the site. But you're right, some of them are still in the blisters, some are loose, so some are going to be worth kind of stripping the primer off and painting, I think. Right, so we're going to get some that nice light blue. We're going to get some matte medium in there, and we're just going to go along that top edge. But we don't want to go all the way around, we just want a little bit here. This probably isn't the best brush for this. This is a great humfer of a brush, this one. There we go. And just because we can, we grab 5 Vermilion from the John Blanche set, which doesn't go into any of the these. It's a standalone paint, so I don't think they'll be producing this one. I think they're only producing the ones that are added into their thing. Bit of medium, and we're just going to use it as a highlight, so it's that very top edge. Just touch it on, move on, touch it on, move on. Keep that medium in there. I think it's closer to the old pure red than the new pure red, if you know what I mean. I think to get the coverage they've added, I think it might be a very light grey. I might be wrong. And it to me, it makes the new reds look a little bit salmony. So yeah, I'm just going to hit that top edge. Yes, it is. It's nice. I think he was trying to fit his palette to the old GW paints, basically. So that was the old, was it Red Gore or something? The Scarlet one. No, it wasn't Red Gore, was it? It was something blood. Bloody mess. I wonder why you can have no job left then, Ben. You can't just use your time at work to perv, you know. You have to do some work. Oh dear. Right. That's awesome, mate. Right, before it dries out, we're going to grab some of the flesh wash, and we're just going to go over the gold and take it down. Take it down again. Just because we can. I think I'm going to go medium. And I'm going to go back in with that vermilion. I just want it to be a little bit juicier, you know? Zing just a little bit more. So I'm just going to take that vermilion and just dot it on top of that top edge. And just build along that side a little bit stronger. You can catch the top edge of that. There we go. And now the geese are joining in. Okay. So now we want to go back in to the flesh. We're going to go for the next one, which is agate skin. And I'm going to swap to a pointier brush today. We're doing very fine work, so we're going to go to insane detail. We're just going to start highlighting the flesh out. So we're going to go down the top of the nose, then to the sides, across this cheekbone. Just pick those eyelids out. A bit more medium. Bottom lip and chin. A bit more on the nose. A little bit on the metal there, so wash the brush out. Just wash that off the edge of that metal. There we go. So it's drying so quick, we jump up to the next one, which is bubbly berry and flesh. Come down the centre of his nose. Just touch his nostrils. Across these cheekbones. But we're going to stay on the top of the cheekbone now, we're not going to go around. Just a little touch onto the eyelid. A bit more medium in the brush, keep it nice and moist. Lip and chin. And then we've got one more, we'll go to Ruby Screen. Because you're applying such tiny amounts of paint there, it's pretty much dry. Ooh. So dry, it's got a blockage, you know. It does tend, this paint, to all of a sudden jump really bright, so you've got to be really careful with this next jump. So a bit of medium. You're just going down. Oh, that's not in. So we're going to go down the top of the nose there. Just a little tiny line across the cheeks. Just let the brush touch down that lip and chin, and maybe a little bit on the eyebrow if you can hit it. There we go. Then if you want to be flashy, you can then pick up a bit of the old flesh wash that we've used, and then go back into the darkers just with a bit of flesh wash. So that's just round the edge of the nose. Just keeping it off those high places we've just painted, really. There we go. So let that dry before we touch any more of that. So next, we are going to, rather than go to silver, we're going to go to plate mail. Which isn't quite as bright as the silver, but it's getting there. It's like a halfway house. Don't reckon any of the decent brushes. I'm looking for one. The wrecked one with the best point, if that makes sense. A bit of medium in your brush. Now I'm looking for areas that I want to be the shiny bits. So let's start at the top. So that center line. And a bit across his eyebrows, and I'm just going to feather it down. And just a little bit around the dome. And that halo we usually talk about, if you go around in a halo. You don't go too far wrong. So I'm letting the brush dry out. I'm not putting a lot of not putting a lot of paint on. But it's quite thin. Of course, once you start laying it on there, it runs out quick, and then you can use it as a bit of a dry brush. So as we go around this bit, we're going to go around the bottom edge, and rather than painting in lines, we want to paint in lines going down to start building some texture. Do you know what I mean? You can just paint like that and just going up with a line, but where we've done that, we've ended up with a blend. Going to load the brush up again with some wet. We can catch the nipply bit there, and then the top edge. I want that to be a line, so I go in like a line rather than a sketch, if you know what I mean. So I want that to be an area that's catching the top of the light. Again, load up with some thin. We're gonna start coming down the chest there. We won't go in tight underneath the ridge there. We're gonna start there. Work it down. There we go. As we get up under his armpit, we're going to leave it because it's all shadowy under there. And pick out some of these edges. We're going to do the half of his arm that's pointing upwards, but we're not going to do the one that's underneath because that's his shadow. So top of this glovelet, across his knuckles and the top of his fingers. He may be looking a bit shiny at the moment. Remember, we're gonna lacquer him as well, so we're gonna take it back down. But what we want is to build these in. So we'll build this. We'll build these highlights in, or the reflections in, before the lacquer takes them away, if that makes sense. So it's across the back of the glove there. Anywhere there's an edge throw-in shadow, we're going to leave. Now the dog's snoring. Okay, we're going to just touch the brush down. We're going to start building those highlights in again on these ridges, trying to leave the dark and the edge underneath the shadow of the one before, if you know what I mean. So I'm catching the bottom edge, leaving the top edge dark. So we paint, this is how we paint a warlord. Yeah. So it says if you try to paint every miniature you own like this, you're going to go bonkers. So don't do it. Take all the shortcuts you can. But when you're looking at your captain or your warlord or whatever you want to call him, you want him to be a bit special. So you want to take this extra time with him. If you look at the rate we usually paint, that's an hour we've spent on him so far. And he would have been finished, really, wouldn't he? But as you see, we're being a bit pickier than we usually are. I'll turn him around a minute, so obviously I've done all the front now. So we'll compare the front and the back. So there's our front. There's our back. I'll do that again, shall we? There's our front. And there's the back. Quite a big difference, isn't it? A lot of the studio, like old GW trick was to get their studio paints just to paint the front of the miniature. Of course, you save a lot of time that way. It's surprising cubes, isn't it? As you're doing it, you don't think it's making that much difference, but these little touches certainly alter the big picture, don't they? Starting underneath where the shadow would be. Yes, Ben, so answering your geezer question, after being in a Black Sabbath tribute band as a bass player, I'd probably say geezer a lot. Now I want to try and catch just these bottom edges. His calf there. Okay. And then we're going to dare to go up to a silver. Because we can. We can dare to do that. So now we've got to stay inside the areas we've already highlighted, and we just want a little tiny amount on our brush. So just down. This is only going to go onto the areas that have already received highlight. just going to blend that in with a bit of a dry brush. There we go. That's going to be quite hard for you guys to see on camera, I think. I just want a little tiny bit on the edge of the highest areas. I'm just going to work across really quick, almost with a dry brush. This is making the implication that he's got someone looking after his armour for him. Oh, sorry, I was out of focus there. Sorry, guys. So next, we're going to grab some greedy gold. You knew it was coming. This is kind of a metallic masterclass tonight, isn't it? I'm going to go to the, first of all, the areas we've already put some gold in, and we're going to highlight them out. That original gold in there as well. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit of shine. Just catches your eye down the side of his helm there. On this side. It just helps to outline the face a little bit. There we go. Yep, happy with that. Let's get a better, these better brushes. There was a, oh, that's one. Yeah. I'm going to put some gold kind of underneath his knee. Just it breaks up the all that silver. Yeah. We'll do the same with the elbow as well. We're just going to edge highlight. And I say the good thing about this, where we've been doing this 4-point start set is because we've kept it very much generic, that we can use these for lots of different war bands in the Age of Saga, Age of Chivalry, which is pretty cool. Just matching up the other elbow. Just looking around the miniature, thinking, will that look good? I'm thinking about putting gold around the top of his gloves now. There's knowing when to stop, you know what I mean? Then you start, I'll go around the edge of there, but you've done a nice sort of job of making that all nice and shiny. What we can do is nipple nuts gold, I think. Yes. And there's his knuckle dusters as well. I'm thinking of all these technical terms. I have to share them with Dr. Bob. He can put it in his book. I'm traveling a new book, Dr. Bob. I don't think he'll want my help. Right, so let's go back to the face then. So there's a really nice brown. Where is it? Yeah, this was a brown that was missing. I think this used to be called bubonic brown or something like that in the old range, Games Workshop ones. Sunburst ochre, and it's a yellow, deep orange brown. So it's the one that sits underneath that one. This is what I can do in the video. Look, that's the next one down. As you can see. I think it was bubonic brown. Okay, let's get our little brush back. Where's it gone? Or did I put it back over it? I did. Yes, certainly is, isn't it? Well, he's a captain, isn't he? So this is from the John Blanche set. It was definitely a brown that was missing. There we go. I just got a bit on the silver, one sec. When you paint like this, you've got to be really careful. That odd dot can wreck it all. Okay, with the insane details and the Psycho brushes, always put the little thing back on. I missed some eyes on some stuff last night, and I think it's because, yes, my old faithful side collar has snapped. I've got to be really careful pushing it back on before I paint. Yes, I've done some eyeballs. I've done some woggly eyeballs, and somebody pointed out in the photograph. But hey, it happens. I was painting them at about midnight. And didn't notice my brush had gone slightly woggly. Okay, so load out as much of that white as you can. Back in the medium, back in the white. Load it out, make sure it's not overloaded. And I'm going to grab a pot of black. And we're going to load the brush up with that because it's nice and thin. And I'm going to unload it a couple of times. So I think I went out of focus then. There we go. And then we're going to go back to our insane detail. Because look, he's got like stripy bits on there, and I like them. But we're going to paint pads, put black lines under them, and we're not going to do that. I might have to just make them show up actually. Oh no, we should be good. Make sure your brush is moist. Make sure it's not overloaded. Make sure the dog's not snoring and putting you off. Bit more moisture. Probably would have showed up a bit better with a black, black line first, but I don't want it to be too prominent. I just want it to be there. Okay. That's a bit thick, that one. There we go. Yeah, he's doing all right, isn't he? He's better than last week. He wouldn't settle down at all last week. It could be that or somebody's got bored and it's a little bit gold across those nuts. Yeah, he's a bit hot for the old woofer, isn't it? This weather. He had a big run this morning and a warm walk this afternoon when it cooled off just a little bit in the shade. Even in the shade, it made him a bit snuffly. I thought I've got to tire him out before tonight because he was a right pain in the arse last week. Okay, so I'm just going to put a light grey, something like company grey. It's the second one down the scale. I don't want it too wet, so I'm going to put this into the dry palette. Let me grab one of these old crappy brushes. I'll show you my other thing that I made, like the rubber palette, is on these army paint ones. You get that second layer, don't you, to put your brushes in? Well, I chopped all mine out and glued in loads of bits and pieces. So whenever I dry brush, I load up my brush, I'm giving my secrets away tonight, and then instead of a sponge or anything, I use that because you can tell when it's ready. Does that make sense? Let's do that again. So load it up, take some off, and just try on a bit. There you go. Then you know when you get to the bit you want to paint, how hard you can go and how much moisture is left in your brush. Now, I don't think the new army painter has got the middle bit in it like that. I think it's a bigger palette. There we go. I think we're about there. So that's an hour and 25 minutes we've taken. And we took our time on that. You've had a chat, stuff. We do the victory lap with the black. So we've got one more point of this box set left, which is another point of warriors. Obviously, I don't think you're going to want us to watch me paint another 8 of those because we've already done 8 of those. So we'll probably use them for a video showing how to do something else. And then next week, we can either do... I've got a troll. Or next week, actually, I won't be able to do it next week. Well, I might do, depends how together we are. Because I've got a show on the Saturday morning, so I'll be leaving at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So next Friday, I'm probably not going to do one. So maybe do one Thursday or something. See how the week goes, see how it beds out, because I might be able to do it on Friday. You never know. Let's chuck some tufts on this boy. Yeah, fun, cool. Or the actual dry palette thing, yeah. It's good for dry brushing because you know exactly where you are. Literally, I just filled it with, I think it was goldfish gravel, and whatever bits were in my bit box. There's arms and legs and swords and that. So you can actually practice paints in there as well, which is kind of cool. It all goes on here at Pirate Island, I tell you. So, grab some glue. Ben, I've got the super glue out. Let's have a tuft there. These are Gamer's Grass tufts. They are self-adhesive, but I like them to stay put, so I chuck a bit of super glue on there as well. I like getting tufts up underneath edges of you. I like jamming them up into bits of scenery. I'll just pull. If they overhang too much, I get the little nail scissors out and just trim them back. Who wants one there? I think we should have another one just there. Yes. And whenever you use your super glue, get your tissue, squirt the last little bit out, wipe it off. When you can hear it making that sound, it means the hole is clear. Then you can put the cap back on, and it lasts longer, doesn't it, Ben? Or you can stick it to your hand. See, Ben, that's how you use glue without gluing it to yourself. Did you get it? And then I always keep these. I keep two. These are mixed green 6mm tufts. But I use the wild shape, which is 70s, and the regular shape, which are all dots. And I just mix them up. So let's have a look what we got. Here he is. Here he is. Oi, oi, oi. Oh, he did a gold glove. Yeah, I did have a bits of gold differently, so I don't think he needs the gold glove. Yeah, he's like a warlord. He's the boss man. Yeah, if you look, I'll give you a close up. There's all sorts in this dry brush palette. See if you can spot some. Let's take the nice paint image. So there, yeah, you got like that's obviously an orc chainsword thing. It just gives you different textures to muck around with. There's an arm and bits, and that's a tusk off a. Oh look, that looks like a dead griffin beast Saxon or something. And there's a space marine. There's a bit of Tyrannid. You get the picture. Chuck it in there. What I did was some of these bigger bits I glued down with super glue, and then I poured loads of wood glue in there and filled it up with gravel, and then kept putting the wood glue in there, and left it to dry for 3 days. Yeah, you got shields, and as you can imagine, there's quite a bit of paint on there. Very so often you can spray it black again, so that works, and it gives you a nice weight on the top of the palette to keep the lid down, which is nice. Right, so yeah, back to what we were doing. Here he is. I will lacquer up in the morning and put some pictures up on thing. Yeah, it's surprising how much work you can put into something you paint in silver, isn't it? Basically. So yeah, hour and a half I think it's worth spending on your warlord. So with that said, as I said, next Saturday I'm at Legionary, yeah, Legionary in Exeter. So I'll see. I've got to go to Griffin Beast on Friday to pick up some more stock because I'm out of some rule books and that for the stall. So I have to pick that up. Anybody that does want anything and is going to the show and wants me to take it there, you can do a collect at show order through my website. Or if you need any, or if you go in there and you want me to bring some Griffin B stuff, get in touch with me before Friday and I can take it down there for you. Yeah, keep checking the website. I've got lots. I've sorted out lots to put on there this week. There's some interesting stuff, some oldie world stuff, and that is, if I haven't told you already, is piraterichpaints.square.site. We've got lots now, haven't we? We've got Pirate Rich Paints on here, Pirate Rich Plays as well, and yeah, that's it. And thank you to the Griffin Beastie Boys for supplying the 4 points box for us to paint. It's been very much fun. We've had a lot of fun with this. Yeah, see you at Partisan. I will be running my collected show on the website as well for Partisan. But I won't be taking the Griffin B stuff there because they can carry their own stuff. I should just be invading their stall like last year. Pirate takeover and drinking coffee and do it pirate tricks. Right then, guys. Well, it's been very nice of you to join me again. Thank you very much, Artemis. Thanks for joining me. No problem at all, Kubla. See you again. Have a nice rest of the weekend, and we'll see you soon. Oh, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and you're seeing this tomorrow or something. Drop us a subscribe, a like, and share. Cheers, and guys, have a good one. Bye now.